So this story is a prime example of how sometimes hanging around the wrong crowd can get you caught up in situations. Let's get into it. So this story time takes place 2 years ago. And at the time, I was hanging out with like a whole lot of different people. The one thing that all of these different people had in common is it was all bad people. Like, they were just all bad kids. So one day I'm hanging out with like two kids and they're older than me. We'll call one of them Jeff and the other one David. So me, Jeff, and David, we're kind of just walking around this late at night. All of us snuck out of our houses and we were just kind of, just walking around. Now, David and Jeff were big on alcohol. Like, they loved to drink beer all day long. But me, I wasn't a drinker. That's not my thing. So eventually, they start talking about going to a liquor store to go get something to drink. And I'm like, I'll go with y'all. They're like, well, but I'm not getting nothing. And they're like, come on, bro, just do it. Like, trying to peer pressure me into like drinking. And I'm like, nah, I'm good. That's just not me. So they're like, all right, fine. So we finally get to the liquor store and they go in, they grab them something to drink. And the only reason the cash register at the liquor store gave them it was because they knew them. They knew their parents. Their parents also knew that they drank, but didn't care. So yeah. So anyway, we're walking and they're like chugging these beers and they're like getting very loud, crazy. It was fun to hang out with them when they were in this state, just because they used to do a lot of like crazy, like dumb stuff, and it used to be so hilarious to me. So as we're walking, we basically turned down the street, and the street that we turned down, it was notorious for like cops. Like, cops will always be patrolling that way because like a lot of people would be like doing drugs there, and they'd like always like catch people with drugs and arrest them and stuff like that. So we shouldn't have turned down the street. It was a dumb idea, but they were intoxicated. Me, I was kind of tired, so none of us were really thinking about it. So we turned down the street, we start walking, and as we're walking, Jeff and David, they're just like joking about like, oh, if a cop come, JB gonna have to put it in your book bag because like none of us got book bags and because they're basically the whole time they were just carrying this case of beer just in their hand, and like they just toss each other like a beer anytime they got like thirsty. So we're walking, and eventually it happens. The one thing that all of us didn't want to. We hear that whoop, and we see like the red and blue lights cut on, and like once we seen that, all of us take off in 3 different directions. So we all start running. Jeff, I can like second them lights came on, I completely lost sight of him. David, on the other hand, I was basically following him. He was a little bit faster than me, but both of us were kind of running the same speed. So we're running, and the cop at first, we see like the lights dip down a corner, so we're thinking that getting Jeff. So me and David, we basically run like 1 block over, and then like we turn, and then we go down the alleyway. Midway through the alleyway, David stopped running, and he was basically catching his breath. And I was like, yo, bro, keep going. He was like, no, cops not going after us, they're going after Jeff. So I'm like, alright, let me like see the alcohol so that way we can walk back on the street, and I just put it in my book bag so that way the cops don't know. So if they pull up on us, like, they don't got no reason to search us. So he's like, alright, so he puts like the rest of his beers in the in my book bag, and there was probably like 6 of them left. Like, they was down in these beers. So he puts it in my book bag, I zip my book bag up, I put it on, and me and him just walk out of the alleyway casually. So as we're walking out of the alleyway and we're like walking down the street, we see this cop car like speed right by us. Like, I'm talking about like speed, like they were going mad quick, like somebody got shot. So when that cop car speeds by us, we're thinking nothing of it until we noticed that it turned down. Like, the second it seen us, it like turned down our street. Basically, the street that we were just on, it turned down that street, and like we could hear the sirens as if they were getting louder. So I looked back, and basically this cop sped by us. I guess he recognized us and basically made like a U-turn. So he basically like turned down that street, went all the way down, circled back, and basically like, circling back to come to us. So he pulls up right beside us as we're walking, and the lights are on, but he doesn't have like the actual like sirens on. And we kind of knew what was going on, but David was like, just play it off as if like we don't know. So the cop eventually stops the car middle of the street. He opens his door and he gets out. And when he gets out, I basically like look, and I can see him like walking towards us. And all I feel is like something pushed past me, and I look, and David just bolts down this alleyway straight up without me. Like, he just bolts down this alleyway and gets up out of there. So now it's just me and this cop late at night, and I have a bag full of alcohol in it. So he walks up to me and he's like, what are you doing out here so late at night? And I'm like, just walking. And he's like, oh, just walking. You wouldn't happen to be a part of the group of 3 suspects that we seen with alcohol in their hands walking down the street at night, would you? And I was like, nope, I don't know what you're talking about. And he was like, you mind if I search your bag? And although I could have said no, it's not a good look, especially because I'm out late at night. These blocks were literally vacant. Like, if you weren't doing drugs or selling drugs, then, like, you weren't on that street. So, like, it was kind of obvious that we were doing something. And then I'm walking down the street. My friend took off the second the cop came. So, like, I just was like, sure, search my bag, knowing that he was going to find it. He unzips it, pulls out the alcohol case, and he just, like, waves it in front of me. And he's like, so, explain to me again how you weren't with them. And I was like, I wasn't. He was like, oh, so you just have alcohol for yourself. And I was like, no. And he was like, son, don't lie to me. So, instead of putting me in handcuffs and everything, like, I thought he was just going to put me in handcuffs and, like, drive me home and explain to my parents how he found me and stuff like that. But it was actually a pretty cool cop. He was just like, listen, I was your age before. It's okay. I'm going to take these with me. Go home. And I was like, okay, I'll do that. He got back in his car and he left. And I did not go home. I literally called Jeff and David up. They got more drinks and we kept walking around. Moral of the story, sometimes hanging around the wrong crowd can get you jammed up. If you guys enjoyed that story time, make sure you smash the like button, turn on post notifications, and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video. Whoa.